This is exactly why we worry about you, my ex said, laughing as guests turned to stare. My mother added, maybe now you'll listen to people who actually know better. That's when I realized why he was really there. My name is Lauren Hayes, and I'm 34 years old. I work as a freelance content strategist, which means I help businesses figure out how to communicate online. It's not flashy, and it's not the kind of job my parents brag about at dinner parties. I've been independent for years, paying my own rent, building my own life, but my family has always treated me like I'm one bad decision away from disaster. They've always favored my older brother, the one they talk about with pride, the one whose accomplishments get framed and displayed. I broke up with my ex, Daniel, about a year ago after realizing he spent more time criticizing me than supporting me. My family quietly sided with him. They told me I was too sensitive, that I didn't know how to compromise, that maybe I'd thrown away something good. I felt dismissed, underestimated, and treated like a cautionary tale they could point to when warning others about independence. I wasn't flashy or celebrated, and I didn't have the kind of success they recognized. But I had something they never saw coming. I had a platform, an audience, and proof that I was doing better than any of them knew. If you've ever felt embarrassed or controlled by your own family, if they've ever tried to teach you a lesson in front of others, this story is for you. Subscribe if you've been quietly judged by people who should have supported you. Drop a comment if you know what it's like to be underestimated at home. And click like or hype, because what happened next changed everything. My parents called me 2 weeks before New Year and insisted I come to their party. It's time for a family reset, my mom said. We need to move forward. I didn't want to go, but I also didn't want another lecture about how I was distant and difficult, so I agreed. I arrived at their house on New Year's Eve, the air inside warm and heavy with the smell of cinnamon candles and baked appetizers. About 30 people were there, relatives and family friends scattered through the living room and kitchen. Then I saw him. Daniel. My ex standing near the fireplace, holding a drink, talking to my dad like they were old friends. I froze. My mom walked over and smiled. We invited Daniel as a guest. He's always been part of the family. I felt my stomach drop. You didn't think to tell me? She waved her hand. Don't be dramatic. It's just a party. But it wasn't just a party. Within 20 minutes, Daniel started in. He asked about my work, then cut me off to explain to the group why freelancing was unstable. He brought up a fight we'd had during our relationship, making it sound like I'd been irrational and unreasonable. My parents laughed. Other guests looked uncomfortable but stayed silent. My dad said, Daniel's just trying to help you see things more clearly. I tried to stay calm. I deflected. I changed the subject. But Daniel kept going. Finally, in front of everyone, he said, this is exactly why we worry about you. You don't take advice. You think you know better than everyone. The room went quiet. My mother nodded. Maybe now you'll listen to people who actually know better. I looked around. People were staring. And I realized this wasn't an accident. This was planned. They'd invited him to humiliate me, to prove a point, to teach me a lesson. The night only got worse from there. My parents seated Daniel beside me at the dinner table, but I was excluded from most of the family conversation. They talked around me, over me, like I wasn't there. Then my mother, after a few glasses of wine, started telling the story of our breakup. She made it funny. She exaggerated my reactions, made me sound unstable and dramatic, and people laughed. I felt my face burn. My father raised his glass and said, here's to people with real ambition, looking directly at Daniel. Not everyone has it, but we appreciate those who do. The comparison was clear. Daniel had ambition. I didn't. I felt shame crawling up my spine, but something else was rising too. Clarity. I stopped trying to defend myself. I stopped explaining. I just watched. I noticed the guests shifting uncomfortably. I noticed my childhood friend Maya sitting across the room, shaking her head. And I decided I wasn't going to leave yet. I was going to stay until midnight. What they didn't know was I wasn't as lost as they thought. For the past 2 years, I'd been building something quietly. I ran an anonymous platform online where I shared strategies for digital marketing and content creation. It started small, just a blog and a newsletter, but it grew. I had thousands of subscribers. Brands reached out for collaborations. I'd been featured in industry publications under a pen name. My family had mocked my time online as wasted energy. They said I was avoiding real work. But strangers respected me more than my family ever did. I'd built something real, something valuable, and they had no idea. At that party, my phone kept buzzing with notifications. New subscribers. Comments on my latest post. Messages from clients thanking me for helping them grow their businesses. I ignored them all and kept my face calm. But I knew the truth. And soon, they would too. Maya found me near the kitchen around 11. She was one of the few people from childhood who'd stayed loyal, who'd seen me at my worst and never judged. "This is insane," she said quietly. "You don't have to sit here and take this." I told her I wasn't planning to. She knew about my platform. She'd been one of the first people to encourage me when I started. "Then say something," she said. "Stop letting them treat you like you're nobody." I nodded. I wasn't ready yet, but I was getting there. Meanwhile, my family grew smug. My dad told Daniel he should keep trying with me, that I'd eventually see reason. My mom joked that maybe I'd learn something tonight. They thought I was cornered. They thought I was silent because I had nothing to say. But I was just waiting. Midnight was 10 minutes away. And I was done being quiet. The countdown started at 11:58. People gathered in the living room, glasses raised, voices loud and cheerful. Daniel stood beside my parents, smiling like he'd already won. Then, at 11:59, he looked at me and said, "You know, Lauren, it's not too late to get serious about your life. Maybe this year you'll finally grow up." The room went quiet again. Everyone was watching. I set my glass down and looked at him. "You're right," I said. "It's not too late. But I don't need to grow up. I already did." He laughed. "Really? Doing what, exactly?" I pulled out my phone and opened my platform. I turned the screen toward the room. "I run this," I said. "It's a content strategy platform with over 50,000 subscribers. Brands pay me to consult. I've been featured in 3 industry publications this year alone." My dad squinted at the screen. My mom's face went pale. Maya stepped forward and pulled up one of the articles on her own phone. "She's not lying," Maya said. "I've watched her build this from the ground up. People respect her work. A lot of people." One of the guests, a woman I barely knew, leaned forward. "Wait, you're her?" "I follow this account. I use your templates at work." Another person nodded. "I've shared your posts before." "I had no idea that was you." Daniel's smile disappeared. My parents stood frozen. I kept going. "You spent all night telling me I don't take advice, that I'm not ambitious, that I need to grow up. But the truth is, I've been building something real while you were busy tearing me down. And the only reason you didn't know is because I stopped needing your approval." The clock hit midnight. Fireworks went off outside. And the room stayed silent. I left the party 10 minutes later. I didn't wait for apologies. I didn't need them. My parents tried to follow me to the door, stammering excuses, but I just walked out. Daniel stood in the living room, exposed and irrelevant. Maya hugged me on the way out and said, "I'm proud of you." That was enough. I drove home through empty streets, the sound of distant fireworks fading behind me, and felt lighter than I had in years. My family had tried to humiliate me, to teach me a lesson, to prove I needed them. But all they'd proven was that I didn't. I'd built something on my own. I'd earned respect from strangers who valued my work. And I'd finally stopped waiting for people who would never see me clearly. Self-worth doesn't need family approval. It just needs truth. If your family ever tried to teach you a lesson by embarrassing you in public, share your story in the comments. Subscribe for more stories about reclaiming dignity and standing firm. Click hype to help this story reach others who need it. If this hit close to home, like the video and share your thoughts below. Click hype to support others like you. Your voice matters, and these stories reach the people who need them most.